Hey everyone, this time on Tim Talks Audio, we check out the newest plugin from Techivation. This is the T-Compressor. We've worked with the guys over at Techivation before looking at the T-De-esser. Now they're taking their dynamics processor and giving us a compressor. But it's not your standard compressor. This thing actually gives you lots of functionality and lots of flexibility. So let's dive into the DAW and take a look. Okay, so here it is, the T-Compressor. At the surface, this looks like every other compressor we've seen. This is our VU meter up on top here. There's 4 selectors that we'll get to in a little bit. You have your threshold on the left-hand side, compression percentage in the middle, and we'll explain that, and then your input on the right-hand side. Above your threshold and your input, you have your attack time, so it's set to slow or fast, and your release also slow or fast, and you just click on those to change which kind of mode you want to be in for your attack or your release. For the input, you'll notice that there's this down arrow, and you can actually change this side to be an output meter instead, and this is also where you turn on your auto gain. If you don't want to think about the output and just kind of make sure that your levels are set, you can turn on auto gain here. Underneath that, you can do some parallel processing right in here by your mix control, and then all the way on the left underneath threshold is your side chain or your high pass filter going into the compressor. So you're going to ignore the low end frequencies if you choose to have this on. Its default is 50 Hertz, just cutting off everything below 50, but you can drop this all the way down to 20, and you can bring it all the way up to 350 Hertz. For the 4 buttons, we have clean, crispy, warm, and thick. Clean is exactly like you think. It's a very transparent kind of compressor. Crispy adds a little bit of top end, giving you some crispness, and we'll get into some examples in a bit. Warm does exactly like you think, and it adds some warmth and some analog flavors, we'll say, kind of warming up the low mids. And then thick is just that. It's a nice thick compressor, giving you some extra low ends, but not in a muddy or flubby kind of way. For your attack and release times, along with the compression control and the percentage, these are all linked. So as you mess with the center control, the forefront of the entire plugin, what you're really doing is you're adjusting your ratio as well as the attack and release times. So this attack right now set to slow is relative to the compression amount. If I increase this, then my compressor attack time is going to alter as well as the ratio. If I have more percentage, I'm going to have a higher ratio, meaning I'm going to get some more compression at the same threshold level. Again, if we back this off, we don't get nearly as much compression, and this works for both the attack and release times. They're linked to this center control as well. Then here's another really cool thing. Up on the top, we're looking at the VU meter right now, but if you click on this button, you change to more of a graphical representation, and I'll show you how this looks in a minute, but if I just grab threshold and bring it down, you'll see this yellow line come down, and this is showing us a visual representation of our threshold. There's a white line across the top as well, and that will show us how much compression we're getting and the look or curve of that compression amount. You'll see in a second. Now here's another really cool thing about this plugin is, yes, we have these 4 different styles of compressor built in, but we're not limited to just one. On bottom, you can see it is a practical serial compressor. That means within one plugin, we can have up to 3 different compressors, all working in serial. So number 1 will feed into number 2, and you add that second one by hitting the plus here. The X represents which compressor you're adjusting with the controls on bottom, and they're not linked to each other. So I can click on one, have this set to clean, and however much compression I need from here, then I can switch to 2, and you can see the threshold changed. And if I switch this to warm and go back and forth, it retains the settings within that section of the serial compression chain. It's not just 2, you can do up to 3 different layers of compression. So maybe you want your clean first just to tame your peaks. Then you want 2 to be warm to kind of warm up the sound and give a nice smoothness. Then we'll go to 3 and maybe we'll get some crispness here, or perhaps you want to thicken it up. You can really adjust the 3 different sounds of your 3 different compressors working in serial by just selecting them up on top. As you're working, let's say you don't want what you've done with compressor number 2. You can actually hit the X and it'll ask you, hey, do you want to get rid of this? Yes, I do. So now whatever was compressor number 3 is compressor number 2. And we can go back and add in a third one again, and it'll just add a new one at the end. So what was 3 is 2, and now we have a new 3. That makes sense. Cool. Then with other Techivation plugins on the hamburger button or the menu button or whatever you want to call this, you have lots of different options in here. You can do oversampling right inside the plugin, browse your presets right in here, or save your own. You also have more global presets in here. There's really a lot of different presets that are in here. You can change the scaling of the plugin itself in case you have a 4K monitor like I do and you need it a little bit bigger. You can go up to 150%. I'm going to shrink this back down. This way it doesn't take up my entire screen. That's all the controls for this plugin. Now let's take a listen. I'm actually going to get rid of this one because I just had that for demo purposes. This is a little song that I put together for this demo. I wanted something soft and slow because I wanted to highlight the T-Compressor on an acoustic guitar. Because an acoustic guitar, you want to tame your transients sometimes, but really you want the nice smooth sounds throughout the entirety of that acoustic guitar. At least that's what I wanted for this mix. So let's take a quick listen. What I'm gonna do is actually turn off T-Compressor on my acoustic guitar. We're gonna listen to the track as a whole, and then we'll go back into just the acoustic guitar and turn this on and off so you can hear what I've done, and I'll go through some of the settings. Okay, so after a little bit, I did put T-Compressor on, and yes, we did lose some volume, but I could have easily gone into the output and turned everything up if I wanted to, or turned on the auto gain adjustment. It's an intelligent auto gain as well, so it'll put your levels back to where they were. But we're not going to worry about that right now. Let's solo out our acoustic guitar and slam it into the center. This way we can really concentrate on what's going on here. And just for an example, I'm going to throw a new instance on our acoustic guitar. Just so you know, first in the chain, I have a little Pro EQ, cleaning some stuff up, removing our bottom, adding some nice body in, getting rid of the mud. There was a little resonant that I didn't like in the upper range, and a little top end boost just to bring out the attack, because I really wanted that kind of pick, scratchy, scrapey sound. You know what I'm talking about. Okay, so we're gonna bypass the plugin. Here's our soloed acoustic guitar. So you can see with the settings we have right now, I'm just getting rid of those initial transients from that acoustic guitar. I'm taming them a little, just kind of squeezing them down. And I can adjust my slow attack a little bit more and my fast release by adjusting my compression control in the center here. We can also switch this over to a fast attack. Let's do that. We'll play it again as with the settings as they are, and then after a couple beats or measures, I'll switch it over to a fast attack. Okay, we're taming our transients. I just want to soften them up a bit, and we're doing that with clean. Now, let's round the sound out. I'm going to add in my next compressor, and for this, let's go with warm. And this is where we're going to start. Slow attack, fast release. I'm going to put my compression up to 50%, and we'll see what we get from here. Now let's dial in our second compressor in one plugin. This is warm. Okay, so as we were going through, I was switching over. We heard with crispy, we're definitely getting a lot more top end through the compressor. It's enhancing the highs a little bit, but I kind of like what warm was doing, and I'm just barely touching it throughout the whole song. And what I think I want to do is go ahead and add in my third compressor, where now I can really round everything out. Slow attack, slow release. Maybe we'll go a little bit heavier here, and now we'll just dial in our threshold. Once we have this dialed in, we'll do some bypassing of the plugin, and you're going to hear a before and after. So yes, towards the end there, I started playing a little bit harder. So we're getting a bit more compression because of where everything else is set. But I think I'm okay with this, because if we put it back to its original location and then we go to this area in the mix, now let's listen. We're rounded out, and even though we're hitting it a little bit harder, we're consistent, and that's what you kind of want from a compressor. Yes, you want the tones of the compressor, because a compressor can be a tone box depending on your style and how it's working. But really what I'm going for here is a nice consistent sound. Yes, I played it differently, and you can see that from the waveforms here. I played a bit lighter in the first half of this song, and I played a little bit heavier in the second half. Now, yes, I could come in and probably clip gain and probably not get nearly as much compression, but what's the fun in that? I was playing harder because it was towards the end of the song and I wanted to build up the, feeling of what was going on. So there you go. That is T-Compressor, a serial compressor in one plugin. If you want to check it out for yourself, use the link down in the description. That's all for now. If you found anything informative, please like and share the video. For mixing or lesson information, check out timflansbaum.com. And if you have a question, ask it in the comments and I'll answer it in a future video. Thanks for watching.